1,000 women, one king, a forbidden obsession. This is how King Solomon rose to marvelous glory and fell into ruin. Unimaginable wealth and divine wisdom, King Solomon had it all. But one fatal mistake brought it all crashing down. He was the richest, most powerful king in biblical history, with 1,000 wives at his command. But how did a king blessed with divine wisdom fall into obsession, corruption, and a fate darker than most dare to imagine? Today, we unravel the forbidden truth of how King Solomon's 1,000 wives became both his pleasure and his curse. Before the 1,000 wives, before the legendary temple, there was a young prince, Solomon. Solomon wasn't just born into greatness. He was the son of King David and Bathsheba. His father, King David, was a warrior king, a giant slayer. But his succession was bloody. Around 970 BCE, Solomon ascends the throne of Israel and Judah. Unlike his father, Solomon, he's not a conqueror, he's a builder, a thinker, a diplomat. Solomon, not even the eldest son, had to outmaneuver and eliminate his rivals to claim the throne. But how does a young king with big shoes to fill become the most powerful ruler in biblical history? Power, from the very beginning, was secured with a sword. But Solomon knew he needed more than a sword. The story goes that one night, God came to him in a dream and offered him anything he desired. Riches? Long life? The heads of his enemies? No. Solomon asked for wisdom. "I'm only a little child," he said. "Give your servant a discerning heart." And in that moment, according to the Book of Kings, God, pleased with his selflessness, and granted Solomon supernatural wisdom, making him the wisest man alive, along with the riches and honor he didn't ask for. This was the birth of the legend. But wisdom doesn't always mean restraint. And as we'll see, even the wisest mind can be seduced. That same wisdom sets the stage for his darkest obsession. And for a time, it was a true golden age. Solomon wasn't a warrior like his father. He was a builder, a diplomat, a businessman. He forged alliances, not with armies, but with trade. Solomon transformed Israel and Judah into a superpower of the ancient world. He controlled the major trade routes, and wealth poured into Israel and Judah like never before. Gold, they said, was as common as stones in Jerusalem, and constructed the legendary Temple of Solomon, a masterpiece of ancient architecture and holy ritual. Foreign kings and queens journeyed just to witness his grandeur. The Queen of Sheba herself brought gold, spices, and questions to test him, only to be left stunned by his intellect. At his peak, Solomon's wealth was estimated at over $2 trillion in today's terms. He ruled with gold, silence, and divine favor. His crowning achievement was the first temple, a marvel of the ancient world, built with the finest materials and housing the holiest of relics, the Ark of the Covenant. This wasn't just a building, it was a statement, a declaration that Solomon's kingdom was the center of the world, blessed by God himself. But even as the temple rose, a shadow began to grow, a shadow cast by 1,000 women. So why? Why did the wisest man in the world need 700 wives and 300 concubines? The official reason: politics. Many of his wives were foreign princesses, daughters of kings and pharaohs. These marriages were treaties, sealing alliances and ensuring peace. A daughter of a rival king in your bed meant her father's army was less likely to be at your border. But was it just politics? Or was it something more? Something darker? Here's where the story shifts. Solomon's palace wasn't just political. It was sensual, indulgent, sacred, even forbidden. These weren't just any women. They were the most beautiful, skilled, and sought-after women in the known world, each one a jewel in Solomon's growing collection. He acquired 700 wives and 300 concubines, women from Moab, Ammon, Edom, Phoenicia, Egypt. And the preparation for a night with the king was a sacred ritual in itself. For months, sometimes even a year, a new woman would undergo a process of purification. 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet perfumes and spices. This wasn't romance, it was ritual, worship of beauty, and eventually, idolatry. They were being made ready, not just for a king, but for a man who saw himself as a god on earth. Some scholars say Solomon didn't just love women, he worshipped them. Each wife represented a kingdom, a power shift, or a temptation too great to resist. Many of these women were not Israelites. They worshipped foreign gods, Chemosh, Molech, Ashtoreth, and slowly, Solomon built temples for them, even joined in their rituals. Imagine the logistics, the cost, the sheer human drama. 1,000 women, all vying for the attention of one man. 1,000 different voices, different cultures, and different gods. And this is where the wisest man in the world began to make his fatal error. The spiritual decay infected the political order. Prophets warned him, explicitly, "Do not marry foreign women, for they will turn your heart after their gods." Priests grew silent, and the people followed suit. But love, or perhaps lust, blinded him. To please his foreign wives, the wives he had married to secure his kingdom, he began to build altars to their gods. Right there, in the shadow of his own temple to the one God. Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians. Chemosh, the god of Moab. And most horrifyingly, Molech, the god to whom children were sacrificed. The man who had been given divine wisdom was now funding and legitimizing the very practices his faith condemned. The tragedy? Solomon didn't lose power overnight. He lost it by inches, every time he ignored a whisper of truth. The consequences were catastrophic. His vast building projects, his extravagant lifestyle, and the sheer cost of maintaining his harem had led to crippling taxes. The people, once prosperous, began to suffer. His foreign alliances, once his strength, became a source of spiritual corruption. The unity of the kingdom began to fray. As Solomon aged, his judgment blurred. Enemies rose from within and without. God raised adversaries. Tribes rebelled. His own sons contested for power. And most painfully, the kingdom began to crack. According to the texts, God's anger was kindled. The same divine source that had given him his wisdom now promised his downfall. His kingdom would be torn from him, not in his lifetime, for the sake of his father David, but his son would inherit a fractured nation. After Solomon's death, Israel split into two. The kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of Israel never again united. His legacy, once gold-plated and God-blessed, was stained with regret. The man who had everything, who had written thousands of proverbs, was left to write about the vanity of it all. I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and vexation of spirit. The wisest man in history had become a cautionary tale. And the prophecy came true. After Solomon's death, the kingdom violently split in two. Civil war erupted. The once mighty empire crumbled, eventually being conquered by rival powers. The temple he built was ultimately destroyed. All because he couldn't control his desires. His wisdom taught him everything except how to say no. So, was it the women's fault? Or was it Solomon's own arrogance? He thought he could have it all, that he could play with fire and not get burned, that he could manage 1,000 different influences and not be influenced himself. He was wrong. Solomon wrote thousands of proverbs, yet couldn't live by them. He warned against lust, pride, and idolatry, yet embraced all three. The man who judged the infamous baby-cutting case couldn't judge the idols in his own heart. It's a haunting truth. Knowledge without discipline becomes self-deception. The story of Solomon is a powerful lesson about the corrupting nature of absolute power. What do you think was his biggest mistake? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you want to dive deeper into the dark and fascinating stories from ancient history, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching.